Hi everyone. So as Fran said, my name's Katie. When I'm not doing this, I'm normally coordinating Maths Week Scotland, which was earlier this month and was a jam-packed week of loads of different mathematicians. So I'm absolutely delighted that less than a month later, I get to do a whole hour and a half and get to watch an entire 24 hours of mathematicians and magic. Absolutely fantastic. So, as Fran said, this is inspired by and partnered with Mark Watson's Watsonathon, and we'll be putting up links for you to donate as well. For my very first guest, I've got three amazing guests in the next hour and a half, which I'm really excited about. And my first one is Joe M. Turner, who is an award-winning mathematician, mentalist, and long ago physics major. And one of his shows was recommended by the New York Times. I'm really excited to meet him and see what he's got on. So, Joe, would you like to turn on your camera and mic? Fantastic. Hello,
Very good.
welcome.
Good morning for
How are
me.
you, how are you doing?
Very well, thank you. Let's turn the brightness down on that. All right.
And
I'm doing
where,
well.
where,
Nice to meet you.
yeah, lovely to meet you. Where are you streaming in from?
I am in Atlanta, Georgia. It is
Fun.
just after 9:30 on Saturday morning. So,
Brilliant. And what kind of things, I sort of listed some of the things that you get up to, but tell us a bit more about what you do when you're not here performing tricks.
well, just to clarify, I am not a mathematician. I am a professional magician and speaker. I'm based in Atlanta, and I do quite a lot of public speaking and entertainment for the corporate sector around the US and uh, up until earlier this year, quite a lot internationally, and there will be opportunities to do that again. I'm very excited to be part of your day today, though.
Oh, we're really excited to have you. And as we know, everyone's a mathematician. So wear that badge with pride. Well, what have you got? What have you got for us?
Well, I have two things to share with you. One thing I will not be able to teach you, but one thing I will, and it's really cool. So let's just start. I was listening to Goran earlier and reading the comments and seeing other things, people talking about dice and how they sum to seven on opposite faces. And being a magician, we're very cognizant of cheating techniques and the way people have cheated with dice in the past. So I'm going to switch cameras so you can see there are many ways that people have cheated with dice in the past. One way was that they would weight the dice. These are not weighted. These are just from every board game or Yahtzee or whatever you might play. So that's one way. Another way people would cheat in olden times was if they would get some solvent of some kind on their thumb, for the chemistry majors, they could take the paint off of, wipe off a spot and change the numbers and change, therefore, the probabilities of which
Sneaky.
combinations would be showing. And so they started to drill the holes in so that they're indented. You can see how the reflection is there.
Oh
So now,
yes,
even if
yeah.
you've
There's a little
wiped the
concave.
paint,
Yeah.
even if you wipe the paint off, you can tell that there's a hole there. And so that you can't misspot the dice in that way. And then the other, of course, is what we've said already, is that opposite sides add to seven in properly spotted dice. So if opposite sides of a single die add to seven, then we know that opposite sides of a pair of dice will add to 14. So if I have 11 on the front, I'll have 3 on the back because 11 and 3 is 14. Now, if I were cheating with these dice, I might have 11 on the front and 11 on the back, which would be 22, and that's not legal. I could cheat another way and have 3 on the back and 3 on the front, but that's only 6, and that won't work at all. You have to have 3 on the back and 11 on the front in order to have honestly spotted dice. Let's make this a little bit easier to follow. If we have 9 on the front, then how much has to be on the back to get to 14?
So we need to have five on the back to get to
We'd have
14.
to have 5 because 5 and 9 is 14. But there's two ways to make a 9. There's the 6-3 way, and there would also be the 5-4 way. So we could take the center spots from the 6 and put them in the corners of the 3, and that would be 5-4. That would be 9. We would still have to have 5 on the back, but we'll just turn this over slowly so you can see now it is in fact the 5-4.
Wow.
Let's make this a tiny bit easier. Let's use even smaller numbers. If we've got 5 on the front, we know that we have to have 9 on the back because 9 and 5 is 14.
I don't know why I'm
But
turning my head so, like I'm there with
yeah,
you to try and see underneath.
there are 2 ways to make a 5. There's the 3-2 way, but there's also the 4-1 way. So if we took the corner spots off of the 3 and put them in the corner of the 2, that would be 4-1, which would be 5. We would still have 9 on the back. But look, we'll just bring it around slowly so you can see that there's the 4-1. Now there's the configuration of this is that the 1 is on the inside of my hand and the 4 is on the outside toward my nail.
Yeah.
So that's 5. We have 9 on the back. You could also have the 1 on the outside, by the way. It could, in fact, as long as that 6-3 is back there, you could have the 1 on either side.
My
And
goodness.
in fact, if you watch closely, you can see there's no paint in the center of the 4. So if you hit it just right, the 1 will pass right through. And that is a really cool dice trick.
Wow, that is a very cool dice trick. Even watching it a number of times and very, very closely, I have absolutely no idea how you've done it.
Well, I share that with you because it is related to the faces adding to 7 that we've had discussed previously. And I will say it's not my trick. It was published in 1953 by a man named Bruce Elliott in a book called Classic Secrets of Magic. So those of you who would like to learn it, that is readily available. And it uses a tiny bit of math and a tiny bit of other, what's the British, jiggery pokery. That's
Jiggery pokery is a good
one. So there you go. So that's fun.
Pokery.
That being said, I do have something that I can teach you today that goes back about 30 years, and I'll tell you a little about the provenance of it later. But if you went to my Facebook page, I put a PDF available for download. It's just a single sheet, and this is what I'm going to be teaching today, and it's got a little diagram and the instructions. But for now, I want to focus on the diagram. It will make this easy for you to follow along with if you would like, and it will also make it easy for you to do this for other people on Zoom later on if you would like to. So that seems a bit bright still. So let's see if I can adjust.
So people can download this if they go to your Facebook page that you've put this up as a downloadable
Yes,
PDF.
I put it in the YouTube chat. I'll put it again right now. Just so that
so if
here's
anyone
my
needs
Facebook page.
needs some tricks later on this evening, this would be a good one for them.
The top post on that page has a link to download this PDF. But if you don't have it, it's fine. All it is a square that is coincidentally about the size of a die. What do you know?
Magic in itself.
And the way the trick works is this. You're going to have your person that you're performing for think of a number on a die. Don't say it out loud, Katie. Just think of a number. And if you want to practice, then roll the die and then just roll it and set it on the square. Now, Katie, you can see 3 faces of that die. Can you not?
Yes, I can.
So let me ask you, do you see the number you were thinking of?
No.
No. Do you see the number that you were thinking of?
No.
No?
Nope.
Do you see the number you were thinking of?
No.
No. Then if I cover this up and I put one number on top of the die, what was the number you were thinking of?
I was thinking of the number 3.
And you can see that there is the number 3.
Wow.
So what is going on here is, I guess technically it's more of a logic path than a mathematical path, but it's fun for math people and certainly fun for magic. And all we're going to do is we're going to put it down and they can see 3 faces. And if they say yes, we will rotate the die a quarter turn in that direction. And if they say no, we'll rotate the die a quarter turn towards this arrow, like that.
Okay.
And in the course of doing that 3 times, you will force the answer to show up on this side, which is not visible to the spectator, but is visible to the performer. It's the side
Okay.
I see on my right.
Okay.
So let's say we got 2 dice, and we'll roll this one to get a random number 1. So I do not see it on this die face, so I'll go no. And now I do see it. I'm looking at the camera to see your view, so we'll
Yeah, I
rotate
can
it
see it.
this
Yeah.
way for yes. And then this time it's no again. But that rotated that 1 over into that spot.
It's kept it on your side so that you can see it.
So it's right here. Now, if you do this 3 times, then it will force the selected number into this spot. By this rotation and this rotation, it puts the selected number into that spot. And to reveal, you simply cover and then move that number to the top of the die, and then you can reveal it in whatever suitably dramatic fashion you wish. Now
I
there
was going to
is
ask,
an
you could make that reveal as dramatic as you wanted. What other kind of reveals would be good for if
you could have
competition?
another die with a different color, which sometimes just adds a little visual interest. I mean,
Yeah.
we're on Zoom, so this is all television production at this point, people. We've got to add some color, add some spice, or you could write it down and reveal that. But there is an exception that I want to discuss to this process before we go any further, so that we are guaranteed to have it on the camera, on the recording. And that is if they say yes 3 times.
Okay.
So if my number was 1, you would say yes, yes, yes. So if they say
Oh, of
yes 3
course.
times, it's the top face. It's
Okay.
always on top. Otherwise, it is the face that we've discussed here.
So that's the one exception. If people are going to give it a try, they've got to remember that 3 yeses means it's on top. Otherwise, 3 times
I
and it's
see a
facing.
chat. Unless you pick the number on the top question mark. Yes, you've got to my
Someone was
exception.
well ahead of us there.
So there's the exception, and that is broken out in the bullet points that I've got for you to download. But it's really fun. Now, the way that this was originally published, this is called the Moon Die Mystery. It was published by a magician named Bob Hummer back in 30 years ago. And it's appeared in a couple of places, including a Carl Fulves book for the general public. So this is not what I would consider a grand magic industry secret, but it's really cool, and it works on Zoom, and so it's appropriate for the times, and it's kind of a hidden gem. Now, the way it was published was to let the person do the turning themselves,
Right.
which, to be perfectly honest, it's a little risky, because are they going to follow the instructions? Because it requires this sort of precise understanding of what the moves are. So if you're going to do this for someone and let them do the turning, if you happen to be doing it in person, just be very clear that it's a quarter turn in the direction of that arrow, or a quarter turn. And this is funny because it's on a different axis, and it's sort of 3-dimensionally coming this direction. But if they do that, then it will force the number into the correct spot, except with the exceptional case. And what I would suggest is that you use the scripting of you're sort of shuffling. You're sort of randomizing the die based on whether you can see it or not. And you may or may not be able to see it at the end. So if the more you can use your script to imply some kind of randomization here, that's to your benefit. But
Build up a
at the
bit
end
of
of the
sense
day,
of the magic trick. Yeah.
the number, that's the theater part of it.
Yeah.
But the logic part of it is that it ends up on the back right side, unless they say yes every time, and then it's on top. And then the theatrical reveal, I will leave to your own sense of theater and drama.
I'd absolutely love to see if people are going to give it a try, what they're going to plan for their big reveals, whether they're going to do something dramatic. And it could be one that you do it the first time, turn it the first time, and then let the person do it for the second time, so that they don't think that you're doing any trickery yourself as well.
I think it's unlikely that that any non-math person will glom onto this idea after one viewing.
Hmm.
If you repeat it several times, then it becomes more clear. And the other thing I will say about your prediction is it's not really a prediction. Let's sort of separate it out. It's more of a um, divination, I guess, a thought reading. Because if it were a prediction, you could have uh, taken a playing card that had a number from 1 to 6 on it and had it in view the whole time and then showed it. And you can't do that because you don't know what the answer is until until they've got it on the correct face. So in this case, you might say, we're going to use this to allow you to focus your thoughts on the number, and you'll randomize the die doing this. And once they've done all of the dirty work, then take the props out of view and say, then go into the mind reading and the mind meld that you're going to try to do, and divine the number. So in magic and mentalism, we sort of separate out the different types of effects. A prediction would be something that I could have had in view since yesterday. And I watched a couple of really neat performances so far where someone had a prediction in an envelope or set aside. And a lot of the mathematical techniques that always come up with a multiple of 7 or something like that, very useful to have predictions. This is a divination, which is a little bit trickier to present because you have to identify the information during the performance, and hopefully you've scripted out the way that you want to reveal it.
It's a
But at
surprise
any
to
rate,
you
it's a
at the
really
end as
cool.
well, isn't it? So
Say again?
it's a surprise to you at the end as well.
Well, yeah, but don't show it.
No, no.
Yeah, but it's always very nice to see that number. And let me just tip this down for the sake of argument. So the number is there. If you want to have it very focused on the die, you say, let's roll it again. And you put the number, yours was a 3, and then you reveal. Or if you want to make it more purely a mental or mind reading thing, then take the props out altogether.
Okay.
Theatrically remove them from the set, right, from the scene, and turn it into just a mind. So now you've focused on your number in terms of dots. Now adjust the way you're thinking of it to more of the Arabic numeral. Think of the numeral. And let's see if I can get the image of that, and then take a pen and a marker or write it down, and then you can slowly turn it around and reveal it. But that's all the frosting on the cake. That's,
Sometimes that's what makes the cake, though, isn't it? You need the
it,
bit of frosting.
it is. So
It's the bit that lures you into the bakery, the frosting on the cake. So
that is a little bit of the I guess the difference between the professional magician versus the mathematician is, how are we going to dress this? What lighting and costuming are we going to put around this experience to make it a little bit more? And let's be honest, some effects, some routines like this will bear more frosting than others. This is not meant to be this, the grand mystery of the end of Darren Brown's show. That's not this, but it's very nice, and it's fun. And I think it is a suitable problem for the student to figure out, well, what if we change the motions that the die goes through, where does the answer end up? So can I force this to come out on the other face? Or what if I always want it to come out on the bottom, so it's completely out of sight
sort of really,
at
yeah,
the end?
easy to play about with and work out how it's happening as well. And I
So
think also
you can
really neat
adjust,
trick to learn and then add things to
yeah,
as
you
well.
can adjust the axes and which turns have to be made so that you could force it to come out on whichever face that you want it. So that's one thing that you could do. Another thing that you might do, if, well, I don't know. I mean, we're just, as long as we're brainstorming in the short time remaining, would be to have another camera. So if you had your phone set here on another Zoom call uh, to someone else on your show, they could see this face on the other camera
You could get it that someone else has the
in a
answer.
separate call on a separate device.
Oh,
And
amazing.
then you could ask that person to reveal it on screen. So you could do that. That's a long way to go. And then finally, another thing that you could do is work out some kind of signal with an accomplice that you have either live or also on your Zoom call, where once you've done it, you hold your arms in a certain way and signal what the number might be
The other,
by what is seen,
which way you have your,
how you have your fingers shown, or, you know, if I grab my glasses, it's this. If I adjust my color, it's that. So you could work out that and have sort of a team effect with some other mathematician that you'd like to perform with. And you can really, really upset someone with, with a simple illusion like this. So there are
and
many different presentational paths that you could take, but the basic idea is explained in the download that I have shared with you. So it's available on the on my Facebook page.
brilliant. I think that's just got so much potential, especially for Zoom calls as well at the moment, how everyone's having to communicate with friends and family a lot of the time, that it could be something a little bit different for a Zoom call with family or friends.
Yeah,
Um,
it's fun.
and people have really enjoyed it. Just having a look at the YouTube comments, a couple of people asked about the book name. So the one with this last trick was the Moon Die Mystery. What,
Yes,
can you remind us the name of the book
the
that's
books.
the
Well, the book
first
that is
one?
most likely to be found. It appears in some rare things, but the one that you're likely to find is called Self-Working Table Magic.
Self-working table
Self-Working
magic.
Table Magic by Carl Fulvis. Let's go here. It's on the sheet.
It's on the
It's on,
sheets, which the download is in the
yeah.
link. And you
So
mentioned
I tried to make it foolproof.
you mentioned a book at the start, which had the dice trick that you showed
The
us at
one
the start,
with the two dice,
which
that's
I'm
in a,
still thinking about. Mind
oh,
blowing.
well, it's really one of my favorite things. I've used it in my virtual show, uh, so that you know, it's a professional grade close-up magic trick. I've performed it many times this summer on Zoom and ticketed shows. It's a good trick. It's called, well, it's in a book called Classic Secrets of Magic by
Classic Secrets of
Bruce
Magic.
Elliott. And it's 1953, if I recall.
Brilliant. So if people want to find out more, they could
So
hunt
easy to
that down
find,
and try
those on
themselves.
Amazon. These are not deeply buried, but if you do the work, then you've earned the right to perform the trick. So there you go.
Brilliant. Well, that's absolutely flown by. That's us nearly at the end of our half hour. So if people want to find out a little bit more about you and what you're up to at the moment or what you're up to in the future, where can they go to find that?
I would love to have you visit my website, which I'll put in the, oh, there's a debate over whether it's chat or comments. I'm sorry if I misspoke, but there's
Apologies if
my
that was
website.
me as well.
And there you can uh, find tickets to my next virtual show, which is on November the 15th. The show that was recommended in the New York Times, and it's been seen all over America and Europe and Canada and so forth. So would love to have some of you come in and visit. Oh, thank you, Samuel, for posting that in on the YouTube
Fantastic.
conversation. I'm just going to change terminology altogether and avoid the criticism.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. And if people want to see more, that they can join you on November the 15th. But it was fantastic to meet you. Thank you
Nice
very
to meet
much.
you, Katie. Y'all
Thank
have fun.
you.
Bye.
So for those of you that are just joining us for the next half hour, my name's Katie Oldfield, and this is the 24-hour math